Hi. Today we're going to talk about whether there are past lives or parallel lives. How does time exist, whether it exists in the first place, and other aspects such as timelines and universes, etc. Hi, this is Akanksha, and if you're new here, subscribe to this channel. On this channel, we talk about science and spirituality, holistic education, well being, ascension, multidimensional nature of our being, multiverse, law of attraction, manifestation, and similar things. So, today's topic is past lives versus parallel lives. And I'm going to talk about this from different perspectives or point of views of different people from science as well as spirituality perspective. Do like, comment, and share if you resonate with this. And this is like an energy exchange. And let's keep the energy of knowledge and wisdom flowing. We have heard about past lives from many people. All these still traditions talk about a cycle of life and birth and how a soul is eternal and goes through the cycle of life and birth because of the karma, right? And from Western perspective, we've heard from Dr. Brian Weiss, Dolores Cannon, and other such past life regression therapists that whenever there is any trauma or any linked uh, memories from other lifetimes, they can affect this lifetime. And often when people remember those other trauma and other memories, then they get healed during this lifetime. Recently I heard and saw an interview of Nassim Haramein, and he's a physicist and he's known as Nikola Tesla of the modern physics. And he talked about very interesting concept. He talked about Einstein's theory of space-time fabric is not actually space-time. It is space memory fabric of the universe. And why is it so? Because time is a construct made by humans, whereas in reality, actually, the space exists, and then there are pockets of memory stored on the coordinates of the space. And again, depending on the vibration, they vary. So, how does this work? So, let's say you have a space memory fabric, and then you have information or memory packets stored there, and you want to access certain thing at a certain time. You go there and access it. Actually, there is no such thing as time. Everything exists simultaneously in this moment now. And that is why all the spiritual teachers also talk about living in the now, in the present moment, right? You cannot access past physically, you cannot access future physically as such. But definitely in meditation, you can access those. And that is why even in the regression sessions, when you go in trance, when you go deep, you can access those other lifetimes. And those other lifetimes are actually not past lifetimes. They are happening at the same time. Everything is happening at this time, at this moment. So whenever you want to access from one point to other, and that is where the time gets created in the linear fashion. And to explain to it simplistically, I would like to take example of Anita Moorjani. You might have read the book Dying to Be Me of Anita Moorjani. And I read it, it's fascinating. She had a near death experience. So she had big tumors in her body, and doctors had given her few hours that she would survive. She was on literally the deathbed, and she actually crossed over to other realm. And when she went there and she saw, she could see her brother from India, and she was in hospital abroad, and she could see everything at the same time. So how she has described this fabric is like this. Let's say you have these parallel lifetimes, okay? So when you look from here, from the higher perspective, from the higher dimension, you can see all of them at the same time. But when you're going from one to other here in this direction, right? Once you're going from here like that, then it appears as a linear progression, right? When you're going from here to here to here, it is linear. But when you're looking from here, you can see all of them at the same time. So similarly, these are not exactly past lives, but these are parallel lives. And how can you explain this spiritually? So, spiritually, if you see how the entire progression happens, is there is consciousness, and our soul projects its consciousness in multiple lives at the same time to experience itself. How consciousness evolves is by expansion of the consciousness. And how does it expand is having different experiences. Because the consciousness wants to experience itself, it projects itself into different lifetimes. And it is aware of all those lifetimes at the higher level. So from spirituality perspective, there is something called as an oversoul, which is next to the highest intelligence, the source, God, whatever you want to call it. From there, then there is oversoul. The oversoul projects itself, and then it will have different projections in different lifetimes, in different physical bodies, so to say. Then below that is higher self, and higher self is at lower dimension than the oversoul. So the higher the consciousness, the higher the dimension, the higher the vibration, the higher the realm, and the higher the dimension. And from the higher you go, the clearer picture you get of all the dimensions. So it's like this. For example, this is a paper, and you draw something on this. Now, a person on this paper, because this is 2D, will not grasp or perceive what is there here, because this is in the third dimension. A person in a two dimension cannot perceive what is there in the third dimension. But the entity, when it is in the 3D, then it realizes that, okay, it can actually manipulate or control the things in the two dimensions. Similarly, a person in the fourth or fifth dimension, which is beyond time and space of 3D, can actually perceive in a different way. And that is why the higher the dimension, the perception and the awareness is different. And from oversoul to higher self, and then to the individual expression of consciousness in this body. That is how the consciousness projects itself into different lifetimes at the same time. So all these things are happening at the same time, because there is no such thing as time. Time is actually a man-made construct. And Nassim had given a very astounding example actually in his life, that he had certain little bump on his nose, and his daughters, the partner he was staying with, the little daughters, they made fun of him. And then he made a bet with them that by the time they all wake up in the morning, the bump will be gone. And then he went in meditation for 1.5 hours, and he went back in time to the womb of his mother and modified the genes there, and that removed that bump. So how he modified is with the intention. In meditation, everything is energy. So he did it at the energy level with the intention, not with tools like CRISPR and all. With we have the technology of modifying genes now. It's called CRISPR, but it's not used widely as yet, because there are ethical and moral implications of that. So coming back to this, so how did he do that? So he talked about the growth that happens of a person. It is not in the linear fashion. Imagine you are on Earth. Earth is a spherical ball, right? And Earth is rotating around itself, and Earth is rotating around Sun. Now Sun is also moving. The entire solar system is moving, right? And everything is moving in the universe. And so when you are actually moving across space and memories, you are not moving linear, you are moving in spirals. And I have talked about it in my other videos also, that our growth or evolution is always spiral. It happens in the spiral. So he's actually described that he saw the crystals, the geometric patterns in spirals, and then he went on following those patterns till he actually went back to his mother's womb, and he modified the genes there. He put in an intention, modified the genes, and voila, in the morning the bump was gone. So this is a very profound example, and this requires very deep meditation, and this requires you to be able to practice working with the energy. But all of us have that ability and all of us can do it. And so this is how it works, that there is a space and memory fabric. And when you access those points on your space and memory, then that is how you travel in time, because that is how time gets created in the linear fashion, linear or whatever, from one point to other point. Similarly, how he has explained law of attraction is, let's say you want to achieve certain reality, you have to become the person to have that kind of reality. So the outcome, let's say you plot that outcome in the future space memory, kind of space information kind of coordinate, and then come back and then start working towards that. So you have to become the person who wants to have that reality, right? So essentially, you can achieve that. And Bashar has talked about multiple timelines and multiverse, and how he talks about that. And I have explained it in one of other videos, that when you choose something, depending on your vibration, then another timeline gets created and another universe gets created. And you can watch that video for more details on that. So essentially, time is a man made construct, and you have the power to choose, and you have the will. You create your universe, and you can create a universe where you have the love, light, bliss, peace in this world right here, right now. And when you choose to live that way, when you spread your light, when you anchor that light, it helps the entire collective. This is a very empowering perspective. And at any time, if you want to access something, learnings from different lifetimes, you can choose to do so, because the more you evolve in terms of consciousness, the more accessible those lifetimes become for you. Also, it depends what kind of experience you want to have. So if they are spaced too far apart in the space information kind of fabric, and you may not want to then mix those experiences, then you choose not to go there and access that information. But if you want to, you can access the information from other parallel lifetimes and learn from there. And this constant learning and growing is how you evolve and expand from consciousness perspective, from soul perspective. We are in Ascension right now, and this is an excellent time to actually experience these things, because as we rise higher in Ascension, we rise in higher vibration, we get a different perspective. We are in a higher dimension, and that is why the perspective is completely different. So choose wisely and create your universe wisely. Thank you.